Good morning, everybody. My name is Barry Schwartz, and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, April 9th, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at SEOroundtable.com over the past week. Lots to discuss, lots going on. It all started towards the end of this week. It was a pretty slow start to the week, but we had some big news at the end of this week. One, yesterday, Google launched a brand new Google algorithm update called the Product Reviews Update. It affects product reviews that are written on the internet, not review snippets, but like real reviews that people write on the internet. So that's what it's targeting. Google also last night updated the Google Discover guidelines, which we'll go through. We also went ahead and got a big update from Google Search Console, where they now support regular expressions, and they also made improvements to the compare mode in the reports. Paul Haar wrote a very interesting set of tweets, a thread, which I want to share with you as well, and much, much more. Also, I'd like to thank our sponsor, SEMrush. Thank you very much for sponsoring. I really appreciate it. So stay tuned, and here we go. Okay, so the big news this week is the new Google algorithm update. It's not a core update. It's kind of like it, but it's specific to product reviews that are written on the internet. Google said they no longer want to it's not really a demotion, so it's not like they don't want to do something. What they do want to do is reward content written about product reviews that are written in a very, very high quality way. So Google said we know that people appreciate product reviews that share in-depth research rather than thin content. It simply summarized a bunch of products. That's why we're making this update and so forth. It's designed to basically better reward better content. So some facts that you probably need to know about this. This name of this update is the Google Product Reviews Update. Very bland. Google started rolling this out yesterday, April 8th, around 1 p.m. Eastern. It will probably take about 2 weeks to fully roll out. It targets product review content. It's not a penalty. It's about rewarding better content. It's not a core update, Google said, but it kind of acts like one specific to the product reviews section. This is only rolling out for English language content, but it is global, but English language content. Google would not tell me how much of the search results are impacted. Sometimes they tell you like a percentage of queries and so forth. They did not. And if you were hit by this update, Google listed a bunch of advice that they generally give and so forth. So that's the heads up on this. This could also potentially affect service level reviews, not just product reviews. So that's something to keep in mind. And also, it's not just single reviews, like on a review on, the iPhone XR. Could be a review about all mobile phones in 2021 or something like that. So also roundup reviews are included in this update, Google said. And then Google listed a bunch of questions that you could ask yourself. It said, definitely look at the core update advice they gave back years ago. But they also asked a bunch of questions, which I'll read them off very quickly. Does your review content express expert knowledge about products or where appropriate? Does it show what products is like physically, how it's used? What are the unique content beyond what's provided more than manufacturer's descriptions? Does it provide quantitative measurements about how it measures up in various categories of performance? Does it set a product apart from its competitors? Does it cover comparable products to consider? And so forth. I'm not going to list them all, but they're all in my blog post. Definitely take a look at that. The industry is looking to see what happens. So far, it's been pretty quiet, but I'll be tracking over the next couple of weeks and let you know if I see anything specific to that category of results. Moving on, Google has updated their Google News guidelines, specifically talking about different things that it will or will not rank. And Google said it won't rank this type of content. It basically wants to filter out content that's not desired or might confuse readers. The examples Google gave were job applications are not going to show up in Google Discover, petitions, forms, code repositories, and content that is sarcastic, I guess, without any context. So if you're making a joke or something and there's no context, people will be confused by it. Google doesn't want to show that in Google Discover. So those guidelines have been updated as of last night. On the Search Console news, Google released a bunch of updates to Search Console. One is it released the support, which they've been teasing us for about a year now, for regular expressions, also known as Regex. Now you can actually do your own regular expressions directly in the filters by going to the query or the page report. And then you could add your own regular expressions there and do some advanced filtering. Also, Google made improvements to the comparison mode. So if you're comparing different data sets, Google's going to show you a lot more information. Specifically, it supports cases where more than a single metric is selected, and then it will show you all the comparisons across all those metrics in that report. There may be some bugs there. I'm trying to dig into it, but I'll keep you posted on that as things go. Also on Search Console news, Google has updated the performance report specific around image search to improve the algorithm and how it counts impressions. So it's basically a reporting update on how it counts impressions in that report. So when you do a filter type image in the performance report, you may notice a drop starting on April 6, 2021. And that's because Google has updated how it actually counts those impressions. They said it's an improvement to how it counts it. Okay, now Paul Har, who's been with Google, well, I think he's one of the oldest engineers left at Google that worked on search originally. He's been there for a long, long time. He's also one of the smartest people I know at Google. In any event, he basically retweeted this tweet from a former Google search lawyer who now works in other areas. And basically there's a whole thread of tweets from this person around an article written by Facebook's VP, Nick Clegg. He wrote a Medium piece called You and the Algorithm, It Takes Two to Tango. And this person quoted a bunch of stuff, but what was interesting is the retweet from Paul Har on this tweet. So the retweet was, it's kind of like platform saying, and quote, we will reward this behavior until you adapt your business and to get too good at it, and then we will punish it. And then she said, that's the unavoidable cycle with spam or SEO, etc. And then Paul Har retweeted that, and I asked Paul Har to expand on that. And he wrote a bunch of different things here. And it basically said the idea about adversarial and evolutionary behavior is one that I've thought about a lot over the years. One interesting aspect of it being evolutionary is that the intent doesn't really matter. It happens because certain behaviors are rewarded. But from the platform's perspective, it's not about rewarding behavior. It's about finding indicators of goodness. Clickbait is the example in Clegg's bar, but clicking is more of a relevant Facebook than for feeds. So Facebook cares about clicking, but linking is a better example for search engines. From early perspective, Google perspective, links were just about relevance, authoritativeness, prominence. But as soon as it has become known that search engines use links as an indicator for signal or for ranking, there is an incentive for create links that only exist for search engines. And it goes on and on. I definitely recommend you read this. I posted this on April 6th. It kind of gets you in the mind of how Google thinks, which kind of helps you kind of build better websites that kind of manipulate those algorithms, I guess, which goes back in that circle of, you know what I mean? You know what I mean. All right. Also, let's speed up a little bit because it's been going pretty slow. I posted on April 5th the big Google Webmaster report. If you did take off for the past month, you definitely want to check it out. I kind of sum up what happened over the past month. It looks like Google is showing Cameos for generic product searches. So if you search for vacuum cleaner or other things, Google might show in the knowledge panel on the bottom right-hand side, here's a screenshot, top questions answered by using these video cameos, which is pretty interesting to see Google doing that. They did it originally for just searching for personalities and personal brands, but now they're actually showing it for generic searches. This week, Yahoo made big news. I guess Verizon, who owns them, made big news is that they're shutting down Yahoo Answers, which launched in 2005. It's a staple of the internet, just like they killed the Yahoo directory. Now they're killing Yahoo Answers. And no, just because Yahoo Answers is going away doesn't mean you'll be able to rank easier for any content. Yahoo Answers is pretty poor quality for generic for keywords in general. It used to rank very well, but not anymore. Google's John Bueller went ahead and explained a little bit more about 302 redirects versus 301s, and basically said over time Google will consider a 302 redirect, if it's in place for a long time, a 301 redirect. And the only difference there is that the temporary redirect is telling the source that the URL might be preferred, while the permanent one suggests that the destination URL will be preferred. That usually is why a source preferred for a 302 ends up being treated more like a 301, which is a destination preferred. Source preferred versus a destination preferred. Depends on how Google understands that. Eventually, Google will lump a 302 into a destination preferred, meaning the link that is redirecting to is the preferred link as opposed to the link it's coming from, which is being redirected as a preferred link. And this how it works. So that's pretty cool to see them say that. And he said that before multiple times, but I liked how he actually wrote it there. Google My Business updated the Google Post guidelines specifically to disallow phone numbers in your Google posts. So they had this new guideline in there. I think it's been something they've been trying to enforce for a while, but now they actually put in the guidelines. They're calling it phone stuffing, which I found pretty interesting, but you're no longer allowed to put phone numbers in your Google posts. Google posted a bunch of local search trends. A lot of interesting statistics of what happened in 2020 around local search. I'm not going to go through all of them, but the big ones are searches for local plus businesses have grown over 80%, including things like local business near me, support local businesses. Who has X in stock grew over 8,000%, like things like who has Nintendo Switch in stock and so forth. And a lot of other factors. Local searches is definitely spiking. It might be COVID. It just might be the way people are searching have changed over the years. Google My Business, there's a bug for the past year or so where if for service area businesses, if you have an issue with an address, sometimes Google will not know where the address is and automatically just drop that business in the center of America, in Independence, Kansas, which is interesting. There's a way to fix this, but if you see a service level business that you're supporting or your business that is dropped in the middle of Kansas, there's a way to fix this. Definitely take a look at that post. Google Merchant Center has made some updates to its product data specification. There's a bunch of different updates, including the update where we talked about a while ago, where it's now making sure that the product price on the product page is exactly the same as what is shown in the checkout page, and so forth. So it's a checkout price enforcement is actually going live as of April 6th, and a bunch of other changes. So definitely take a look at that if you are in the Merchant Center dealing with those things. Google began to test their FLoC, federated learning of cohorts, in Chrome earlier, I guess late last week. So that's now being tested. And Microsoft Advertising has launched a bunch of updates, including the ability to use the API for Google Ads import. So if you want to import your data using the API from Google Ads to Microsoft Advertising, you could use the API. They also released customizer for Countdown Customizer for segments. And they also released a universal event tracking tag helper and a bunch of other features. So if you're using Microsoft Advertising, they released a bunch of things and they're actually pre-announcing some things as well. Any event, thank you so much for listening to the Search Buzz Video Recap. I promise to keep you updated on the product reviews update going forward. In addition, I want to thank SEMrush for sponsoring. Thank you so much for sponsoring. And I hope everyone has a great weekend. Again, this is the search news we covered over the Search Engine Roundtable at SEOroundtable.com over the past week. My name again is Barry Schwartz. Thank you so much for listening. Everyone be healthy, be well, and I'll see you guys next. Goodbye.